The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
We know that Reb Chaim Kanievsky is somebody who knows Kol HaTorah Kula. Every single year on Erev Pesach, he makes a very highly celebrated siyum, not just on one Masechta, not just on one Seder, not just on Talmud Bavli, not just on Talmud Yerushalmi, not just on Sifra, Sifri, Tosefta, Teres Kayanim, everything. He's Messiah, Kol HaTorah Kula, Dalach Agei Shulchan Aruch, with all the Mefarshim. He learns Kol HaTorah Kula every single year. And he has an exact daily regiment of how he has to learn in order to accomplish this. You can imagine, Daf Yomi is very rigorous, for myself at least. Imagine learning 7.5 blot a day of Bavli. I don't know how many blot a day of Yerushalmi, how many blot a day of Medrash Rabbah, of all the Medrashim, all the Mefarshim, all the Paiskim. I don't know how you do it. And he still has time to respond to letters that people write him with Shilas. He has time to be involved in Tzarchei Tzibur. Every tzedakah comes to him for advice and for guidance and for his haskama. So many great stories abound about how generous he is with his time and with whatever he has, he gives to Klal Yisrael. And he writes many svarim. His svarim are absolutely phenomenal. He has svarim, many of us are familiar with some of his svarim, but there are svarim that he comes out with. There's like an entire Mishnah Berurah on halachas of Zraim, Nageya Tzedakah, Nageya Shvius, and Peah, Bikurim, all these halachas that are Nageya to the land. He has like a multi-volume set. Somebody has it up there. I think it's about 6-7 volumes. It's like a Mishnah Berurah. He has the Rambam on the top, and then he has his like Mishnah Berurah commentary on the side, which is called Derech Emunah, and then he has Biurim. A brilliant work. In Eretz Yisrael, it's a standard work, because there you really have to know about the mitzvah Satzluyas Baaretz. Then he has a brilliant sefer called Taimid Dekra. It's very, very short, sharp vertlach on Tanakh, in the style of the Gra. He finds ways to see the Torah Shebal Peh, Nirmaz the Torah Shebechsav, in the most brilliant ways. Mamish a Vilna Gain, the Zer Ampin. And then he has many other svarim. He has Archas Yesher, which we learn very often after davening around my table. A Musar Sefer that he put out that's extremely popular. One Sefer. And then when does he have time to write these svarim? He's so busy every day, as I described before, with his daily regiment of learning. The answer is he writes these svarim every Ibriyar. Because on an Ibriyar, like we are in this year, you have an extra month of Adar, so he has a little bit extra time, quote unquote, to be able to write. And that's when he puts out his svarim. Now, one of his svarim is a kuntras, it's a smaller sefer, and it's called Karnei Chagavim. And it's a sefer which basically goes into the details of the Simone Taira of grasshoppers, Chagavim. And again, it's whatever he puts out as an instant classic, and it's the authoritative work on whatever he sets his mind on. And there was a certain type of grasshopper, as he was learning with his chavrusa, he said, and there's different versions of the story, I'm going to tell you the one that I like the best. He was learning with his chavrusa, and there was a certain type of grasshopper that lives in the Amazon jungle, which is pretty far from Eretz Yisrael. And they needed to see this particular min of grasshopper to check out the simanim. Because it was an unusual breed of grasshopper that wasn't the standard fare, and he wanted to make sure that he encompasses all of the different types of minim of chagavim. And somebody told them that in a local, semi-local university, they have that grasshopper And if they want, they could go and see it. They're not going to bring that grasshopper to Reb Chaim, but they could go to that. I can't really imagine seeing Reb Chaim Kanievsky walking into a university, but except for Lander College. But but this is what they were declaring maybe a few microseconds about. Should we go there to check it out? No, it's bittul Torah. Let's not. By the time we get there and this and see, no. Anyway, they were sitting. This is how the story goes. They were sitting while they were discussing this. They were sitting by an open window in Bnei Brak, on the second floor in his study in Bnei Brak. On the desk between their two svarim, this grasshopper from the Amazon jungle jumps with just enough time for them to look at it, check it out, see the simanim, and then it jumps out. Then the story goes that they realized that there was some part of the anatomy that they didn't check out properly. It's a fafalim, we lost an opportunity of a lifetime. The grasshopper jumps back in from the outside, and they have a chance to see that siman, and then the grasshopper leaves again. Now, a lot of people in this room are probably saying, I don't believe it. Tell me one more. I got a bridge to sell you. Reb Chaim Kreisworth, Zecher Tzadik Levracha, who was the chief rabbi of Antwerp, who was known to be one of the Gainei Hadar, was a brilliant, brilliant man. He was the Rosh Yeshiva of Merkaz HaTorah in Eretz Yisrael and other meisters throughout Eretz Yisrael and in Belgium, of course. He once visited Reb Chaim Kanievsky, and he said to Reb Chaim Kanievsky, they're telling meisim about you, which I don't necessarily believe. He said, like what? So he says, that story about the grasshopper that jumped in from the Amazon onto your table, and can we shatter that myth once and for all? Let's get that one off the table. Tell me that's above a ma'isa. So Reb Chaim says, no, it's 1,000% true. So he said, that's true? You mean to tell me a grasshopper that lives in the Amazon, wherever the Amazon is in the world, I don't even know where it is, but it managed to get, I know it's online, I don't know where it is in the world though, it managed to jump on top of your desk when you were looking for that grasshopper, learning the sugya about that grasshopper, it jumped on your desk. He says, yes. And he says to Reb Chaim Kreisworth, says, and by the way, Reb Chaim, I'm very surprised at you that you don't believe it. He says, because whoever learns Torah Lishma is Zeichel Dvarim Harbe. He says, I'm learning Torah Lishma, there's no reason in the world why it shouldn't happen. It's a chiddush that it wouldn't happen to more people. Why shouldn't it happen? If you believe that everything in the world is zakuk to Torah, then of course it could happen, and it did happen. I heard an addition to this story, that they were building an extension. I think the son maybe had an apartment next door to Reb Chaim's, and they wanted to break down a wall to make the two apartments able to combine. And they started breaking down the wall, and Reb Chaim got very nervous. All of a sudden he thought that it might be that wall was the wall of that miracle, like he called it the miracle of the Chagavim, and that he didn't want to take down that wall. That wall should stay in place because that's the wall that miracle happened to him, and he wanted that should stay as a zikaron.
Enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. StoriesToInspire.org